Hello and welcome, friends, to this UK coach training video on exploring chemistry or sample sessions, whatever you would like to call them. So, my name is Katie Bowen, and I'm delighted to be with you for this section. If you haven't already, then do come and join us in our Facebook group. You can find a link in the email that we sent with this training. Get support there from like minded coaches and also additional training. Uh, so let's get on to the topic of chemistry sessions. So, do you remember when you first were looking for a coach? If you've done your coach training, you would have had to have had a coach. And it's really quite a nerve-wracking experience, and the client really needs you to take control and be confident of the process. It's called a chemistry session for a reason because it really is checking out how you and the client work together. So it's really important that you relax and be yourself. So the more you get used to following this process, the more the practice will become easier, and you will be able to really make the impact that you want to show what a great coach you're going to be to work with. So let's explore how. The biggest advice I can give you is just to be consistent. Decide how you want your chemistry session to look and feel, and stick with the same process, and then just get better and better at it, rather than swapping and changing what you do. And that way, you will recognize where you are in the process and be able to follow it through, even if the nerves do kick in, or even if you start to feel a little bit less confident. So I always set the scene by email. I know that some coaches don't do this, but I just find that it kind of creates a more professional starting point. So I send out an email, and it just basically says our agenda is going to be for 30 to 45 minutes call. I explain that I'm an ICF coach, and I introduce ICF ethics and confidentiality, and explain to them that on the call I'm going to create an alliance for how we're going to work together. And then I just have four simple steps. Our introduction will be getting to know you for about 10 minutes, and 5 minutes of me answering any questions should you have any. Step two is going to be a mini coaching session, which lasts about 15 to 20 minutes. It can be on the coaching wheel, or it can be on a topic of your choice. Step three is feedback from you and from me, 5 minutes each, just to get a feeling for where we're at and how we feel about each other. And then the final step four is designing what our coaching together will look like, what your program design will be, and what the next steps are, so that they know upfront exactly what to expect when they jump on the call with me. So once the call gets started, the first thing I recommend you do is learn an elevator pitch for how you're going to introduce yourself and how you're going to introduce your business, including telling them how or why you are the expert that can solve their problem, to really make them feel comfortable that they're talking and disclosing information to the right person. And then just reiterate the structure of the call exactly as I've just done. I send you an email, but not everybody reads their emails in full. And even if they have, they might have had several coaching chemistry calls, which are all different. So just set the scene. And then what I do next is I explain my role in that it is to see the fullest potential and hold their vision until they're ready to claim it for themselves. And I explain that if they want to go ahead at the end of this, the next step is I send a discovery document to complete. And the reason I explain this now is that I explain that that is really the starting point of coaching. That's to get them in the right mindset, to give them some exploratory questions to really dig deep, which gives our coaching together a lot more depth, and also saves us time in that like long 90 to an hour and a half minute, sorry, 90 minutes or 2 hour call that we used to have, discovering all those facts about the person. That way I can get the information and I can use it throughout my coaching with them. I then explain that I want to ensure that we're a right fit. It's important that we have the right chemistry together. So, as a coach, we are the gatekeepers of our profession. So, we need to check that our values are aligned with the client, use our intuition about the value that we can bring to ensure that we're the best option for the client and they're not wasting their money, and that we're going to be able to help them with the transformation that they're looking for. And then I like to use the garden metaphor as my strategy, just to say, we can't just plant a seed and hope it will grow. We need to prepare the soil in advance and water it and give it the right light and the right temperature. And I explain how that would be in a coaching way. And then I ask them, let's get started. So during the session, I'm not looking to get specific results, although I'm sure useful insights will be achieved. So that they're not disappointed when we get to the end of the 15 minutes and I'm calling a halt to it, and we're in the middle of the process. But I say afterwards, we feedback to each other and agree a way forward. And then I introduce the coaching wheel and explain how to use it if they're not familiar with it. So then I design our alliance. So, what do you need to get from me as your coach? I think confidentiality, honesty, authenticity, transparency are essential. What else matters to you? I like to be direct. Are you okay with that? How can I help you when you're stuck? Transparency, you need to be comfortable asking for what you need. Is that okay? I explain it together. We create a laboratory, so playful, fun, out of the box thinking is good. What else works for them? What do you need from me? Tell me. I need your permission to interrupt, to keep the call on track and on time. Is that okay? And to name it if I think your saboteurs are speaking. It can help you access other thoughts. And how can I access you when you're at your best self? What connects you to your true values? And can I have your permission to move you around? Permission to be playful and have some fun? And can we agree if you are happy to have homework between calls? Just because I like to challenge my clients in between calls for things to really give them some deep and thoughtful thinking. Okay, so next, I ask the clients, do they have a goal in mind for the call? What quality are they wanting more of? Things like resilience, motivation, confidence, what comes up for them? And what would make a great coach for them? What is their topic for today? What's at the heart of that topic? Or what else is at the heart of that? And is there something else I should know? What would it be? So I always ask, what's your experience of being coached? Because that gives you a good idea of where the client is already and what in life is most important to them. And I get the client started. What's the topic they would like to explore now? And if they haven't got one, did they have a chance to have a look at the wheel I sent? And what would a good outcome from today's call look like for them? Just to get an idea of where they're actually looking to get to today. And then I use TGROW. So for those of you that have never come across TGROW, TGROW stands for topic, goal, reality, options, and way forward. And so if you look at question one, use the wheel if they don't have a topic, but what score would they like to improve on the wheel? Don't assume it's the worst one, or even sometimes if someone's got an 8 and everything else is low, sometimes the coaching can be really powerful if you just work on what would make that 8 a 10 and give them that shift into an even better place for something they're already happy with. So don't assume, make assumptions. And then R is where are they now? And what does that look like for them? And what's it feel like? And anything about the reality of now. What have they already tried? Who's supporting them in the process? And then O is options. How could they move from, I've put A to B, but in this case, it would be from a 6 to an 8, or from a 2 to a 10. Or actually, where do they even want to move to? Some people aren't interested in getting to 10, they'd just be happy to get to 5. What steps have they used in the past that worked? And what would their mentor do, the person who they look up to? And then W, way forward. What will they choose to take forward? Will, even as well as way forward, the W. How will you, as the coach, know what they've done? And then accountability. When will they do it by? And by asking them for that accountability question, they realize that you have got what it takes to actually help them transform because you're willing to take ownership of what you agree with them. And then I always ask them if they've got any questions. And now is a really powerful time to ask them if they've got questions because they've got an idea of what you're like as a coach. And then you need to ask any questions that's important for you to know. So You need to ask them how did they feel it went, but also be thinking about how do you feel it went? Were you comfortable? Did it flow? Would they be really difficult to coach? Do they need counseling, not coaching? All these questions you need to be asking or answering. And then what is your learning style? I always ask the client this, because some people are learning style is more about what they can see and hear, or they like to be moving around or sense things, what feels right to them. It's really good to learn what the client's learning style is for just the type of questions that are advantageous to use to really create a shift for them. Then I talk about cost, and I say I offer a package which is X, which is for 3 months, or Y, which is for 6 months. Which would they prefer? Or I say I can offer a 3 or 6 months program. What do they have in mind? And then to close the call, I always say I would love to coach you. Find some way to acknowledge the client for their courageousness coming to the call, or for the topic that they've brought, when you've been moved, just all the general things that you would acknowledge a client for anyway, and ask them for the business. And the one thing I would say about asking for the business is, if you don't, somebody else will. The amount of times as a supervisor I've heard a really excellent call, and then the coach hasn't claimed their client. And then I imagine the client will go away really impressed with coaching, and the next coach that does say, I really want to work with you, they're going to say yes, because by this time they're convinced they want a coach. So client one, coach one did all the work, and client two, coach two got the business because the client was ready. So if you don't like to have a direct close, then offer alternative closes. So would you like to go ahead next week or the week after? So you're they call it an assumptive close. You just know that the client wants to go ahead. You're assuming that they do, so you're just asking them when. And then finally, I always follow up with an email with some links to the topic that we have talked about in the coaching, to show that I've listened, to give the client as much value as I possibly can, and to give them a little bit more to think about, for helpful bonuses that might be available in the package that I've talked to them about the cost of. Okay, and then next, I just want to give you some helpful tips. So when you are coaching a client who has got choices to make, balanced coaching works really well to give them new perspectives. It can be a really good perspective shift in a 10-minute coaching call that can really impress the client. Visual is better, so try to make it a Zoom call. People like to see who they're going to work with. It helps them to build trust. So if you can't meet face to face, then at least do Zoom rather than on the phone. Even if you're going to coach them on the phone thereafter, it's just nice that they know what they look like, what your smile's like, and they can look into your eye and know that they can trust you. And then make sure the client feels listened to. It can be really easy as a new coach, to not be in level three. So if you tell the client what you're hearing and summarize, often that helps to make them feel listened to, even if you are thinking about what you need to be doing next. And the quality of your freebies, so always give more than expected. If you have free resources, that are set up on your list building, don't think, oh, I'm not going to send them because the client's already seen them. Send them whatever you have that are resources which will help them with their problem, because even if they don't come to you then, they are likely to come to you in the future, which is what I find, that clients don't necessarily sign up straight away, but they will still come to me a little later on. Okay, and so I just want to share with you, in all honesty, that it does get easier to do sample sessions with time and experience. So back in 2015, I was getting a 50% conversion rate. In 2018, that crept up to 69%. In 2020, it was 80%. And this last year, I am on 95% now. And that is the 5% are only clients that I've not chosen to work with. And what I really want to give you perspective around that is that when a client is looking for a coach, they rarely just book one session. So they usually book 3 or 4 coaches, which means that 3 out of 4 coaches are going to get a no. So please don't be discouraged if your sample sessions don't work straight away. Don't change what you do. Just keep going and get better at it. The more you practice the same sort of script and format, the better and more confident you will sound. And then that confidence will enable the clients to want to work with you. So, if you've signed up for the 3 video series, the next one is going to be about content marketing, choosing your niche. If you haven't signed up, then come and join me on the free videos, and then you'll get that one as well. And I look forward to seeing you in there. So if you've got any questions for me, please feel free to email me info@kd-coaching.com, and I will be happy to answer them. Or if you jump on my Facebook group, you can also ask in there. So thank you for joining me for this today, and I hope it's been really helpful for you. Do send me your feedback if it's been worthwhile for you. And also, if you haven't got it already, you can get my free download for 10 top tips for chemistry session, which gives you kind of a cheat sheet for the process I've just gone through to have near you when you are on a call. Okay, bye for now. See you soon.